Hey guys, what's up? Pittsburgh White Shorts. It's Andy. I'm here today with Carmen.
Up.
We're going to be going over my GochiUsa deck that top aided at AnimEvo. AnimEvo is this big online tournament. I guess the only big official tournament that really happened this year. I was lucky enough to top 8 in it, so that was really cool. Yeah, this is the deck I use for it, GochiUsa, the normal Cocochino build that's been around forever in JP. I think it's probably like one of the older builds. I think a lot of Rabbit House people switched to the Dear My
DMS.
Sister builds. I wanted to go just with the old school Cocochino build because probably the JP deck I have the most experience playing, and I'm not nearly as knowledgeable in that format as I am with English. So I figured, this deck's a little bit more fishbowly. You kind of just count to 10 and blow your opponent up. And I figured it'd be a better deck suited for like webcam games too, because there's
Yeah.
not like a ton of interaction you need to do with like any of your opponent's zones. It's more about just like playing your own game and setting up what you need to set up. Let's just jump right into the deck. Level zeros, good number of them. I think it was like 17,
17,
9,
18.
17 or
Somewhere up
18,
there.
something like that. 4 runners. It's just a normal mill runner, and it gives 500 power when you attack with it. Just a nice plussing 0. I was lucky enough to open with these in most of my games.
Yeah. Yoshiko Runner's pretty good. The same
Yeah, like
profile.
definitely going first. I like to field this and just get a quick attack with it.
These additional 500 power buffs are like really valuable in a very wide field too. Like just a little bit of extra power. So,
The little bit of extra power here and there definitely was coming in handy throughout the day. Just being able to get 500 over a lane and just win a lane one time can be actually really impactful in the early game because this is kind of like an aggro
yeah.
deck. You're just trying to kind of
Get
push your
enough
opponent
stock.
hard and fast. Yeah. Next card's probably the star of the deck, Rize. Just on play, look at 3 cards from top of your deck, take a Rabbit House, so the on-trait character to your hand, and discard the rest. This was a big thing that pushed me into the blue-red build for GochiUsa. I was messing around with a more Dear My Sister focused build with some of the bread cards in Dear My Sister, but then this Rize wasn't hitting on those cards because it only hits on Rabbit House characters. And a lot of the stuff from
Mm.
set 2 doesn't have that trait. And I just wanted to make sure I could find all my stuff, as quickly as possible, and definitely like be able to go through a deck very quickly if I ended up with a bad deck state, which one of my games on stream was actually like that. Like a really good example of that. I don't remember which one it was, but I was out like a ton of climaxes early, and I just played a bunch of Rizes and kind of just dig through
Mowed
my whole
through.
deck really quickly.
On play Rize is just like a profile that doesn't get printed anymore. It's like pretty good reason why. It's just really, really strong tool. And it's 2500 power attacker. Just like
Yeah, it
always
seems like
good.
really like a really overpowered profile. I was really surprised that Memory Snow actually got it. It just
Hmm.
feels nuts playing with it. It's like, wow, this is like a beat stick and
Free
it
mill.
filters for me and it hits on everything in the deck. It's crazy. But yeah, I think that a big reason that to play GochiUsa would be this card. It adds a lot of consistency. The rest of the level zeros aren't really as interesting. Just 4 copies of this Brainstormer. Searches for a rabbit character when you hit with it. Gives 500 power at the start of your opponent's attack phase. That really was never a useful effect for me. Like maybe
Hmm.
once over the course of the day.
You're just
But
not a deck that holds board really ever.
yeah, this is more of like an aggro deck. I'm just trying to like build up a bunch of stock and keep you on the back
Kokachina.
foot, and then when inevitably my opponent will like establish their board and things start slipping into their favor, I just try to blow them up with Cocochino at that point. Next card is the Ricky. So when you play it, you can pay 1, clock yourself, and then choose a character in waiting room with a rabbit house and add it back to your hand. So it gets anything back to my hand from my graveyard I need. It doesn't even have to be a level 1 or lower. It can get anything. I've grabbed my finisher with this a few times. Like use this card to like clock myself up to level 3, then grab my finisher and win. But mostly just to set up the level 1 combo. So I want to get 3 of those off.
Yeah, if you
And then
can.
it also gives 500 power on attack. Pretty
Just
good card. I didn't think I needed 4 of it, but three feels really good to me. Next card was this. I don't know what her full name is, but it's
Rize.
some
Rize.
Rize. And on play you can drop salvage for red. I don't think I ever use that effect when I play it. And I really only have it there for the second effect. It's when damage dealt is canceled, it goes to stock. The top end combo in the deck is kind of like requires a good bit of stock to get double or triple off. So, and since I'm trying to take the game fast and not draw it out too long, it's not like I have a ton of time to build stock. So every little like plus to my stock really
Hmm.
helps out. And I try not to beat on my stock too hard with brainstorms or early plays or anything because I'm just trying to build up to that big finish. And then my last level 0, probably the most notable one I run in the deck, is Dignified Rize. She's a global 500. Don't really care about that effect. I kind of had it teched in the deck for like the Saikano and Grisaya matchups, like where people are going to be running these JC style cards where they have 500 power and they send themselves to memory to pop something back to hand.
Yeah, this was this did a lot of work for you, I'd imagine. There was a lot of Saikano and Grisaya running around. So
Yeah, over the course of the day, I never ran into Grisaya, but I played against Saikano like multiple times, so it definitely came in handy there.
denying the drop search, denying
Yeah, like
JC.
back at that tournament we went to in Columbus, Carmen, and
Yeah.
thinking like, wow, this card is complete shit. But then like, but then like Saikano came out and like all these other decks and the meta shifted around, and I figured that you know what, this probably is like a really good answer.
Yeah.
Like Saikano's level 0 game where they're trying to like just send a bunch of stuff to memory. I can deny those effects, deny them from getting the memory, and then primarily I wanted it to stop like just be like a universal out to JC effects. Just
Yeah.
so I could, because my level 1 combo's on reverse, so I
Normally
don't want to
like
like lose 2 lanes of that.
normally these kind of like pay one sync effects are like not worth it, but the big thing I think in the Saikano, why it does so much work, is those are their main sculpting tools. Like the drop search, the airy drop search and stuff like that. So when you start denying them things like their Ricky or their drop search, they start not being able to set up Kato as like efficiently. And when they can't set up their Kato loop, the deck kind of just does nothing. So,
Yeah, like the one game I played on stream, day 1, it was this card was like huge in helping me win the Saikano game. Completely denied him the ability to sculpt his hand and set up, and I was very pleasantly surprised with it. So I think it's definitely going to stay in the deck,
mm-hmm.
even going forward
As
after I
long
make
as
the
memory's
changes.
still around.
Moving into level 1s, there's this Chino. It's just a normal basic bitch Shimikaze combo.
Yep.
Gets to 6,500 power on reverse. Search your deck for a character. I don't like that it's on reverse, especially with all the JCs and big standby stuff around. But usually you can find a reverse like on 1 lane or maybe 2.
Thankfully, like in the meta right now, other than things like auto or like Obro style combos or like standby, the general like power threshold to get a reverse at level 1 is pretty low right now. Like Slime's like 4K or whatever. Like if you're not playing against standby or things aren't popping back to hand, you won't have as much trouble as you think. Like getting a reverse with 6,500 power. Even right now, it's just like not a high threshold for costless characters.
Like against the big meta decks, I don't think it matches up particularly well. Like against Seikano or Data Live, I figured the JP format's so broad and people will kind of just play whatever. There's just like a lot more men. People really aren't hedging to beat on reverse Shimikazes anymore, so people just stop teching for it.
Yeah.
And they get lazy and they say, well, people won't run it, so I don't need to play backups. I don't need to
I
have
don't
an
need to
out
do
to it because no
anything.
one's going to play it. So that opens up the possibility to just run them and get free searches. And this is the main reason I went blue in the deck for this card. Every other blue card in the deck's really kind of there just so I can have this level 1 combo because it's what I had to work with. I guess one other thing I'd want to mention about it though is like in the games where it's not good, right? Like against Saikano if they're starting to get popped back or like Data Live if they set up their big board. Like there was definitely a few games over the course of the day against Standby Data Live and actually the other one I think was against Chef Bork playing Fate Brand Order Gate Standby.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like he just set up like these standby decks. They set up these huge fucking boards, and you can't get over them. And it just gets to the point where you have to say, you have to be flexible with your game plan and not go for the level 1 combo. I kind of just had to say, well, I'm never winning board this game, so I'm just gonna slam a climax every turn, clock every turn, and just attack 3 times and just try to get there and build up enough stock for my finisher and just sack him
Not
out of
give
the
them the
game.
time to set up. Gotta play to your out.
Yeah, that was another thing I was kind of hoping. Like, the overall speed of the deck will kind of like, hopefully that you don't have your standby stuff set up by the time we're at level 1. Yeah, next level 1 is this Drunk Coco, old school suicider that discards a climax on play to salvage a character. it's really nice to have discard outs, especially costless ones, because I'm trying to build up so much stock for my finisher. So I can just discard extra copies of climaxes that get in my hand with like the pants climax and all that stuff, adding them to my hand. Just gets me pretty much anything I need at any point. And I really like the Suiciders in a sort of aggressive style build like this, where even if I'm losing board, I'm still trading 1-for-1 with my opponent.
Especially with decks running a bunch of 1/1s or stuff like that, you at least force them to exchange a card in hand.
Yeah, I think the big red pill is that I felt like normal Suiciders weren't good for a period of time there, right? Because bottom deckers and stock changers seemed like way better, but now that all the like a lot of those other effects don't hit on costed characters, they're just like cost 0 or lower, and with everybody just slamming a big fat 1/1 the first turn, it's nice to be able to at least make you have to discard to save it.
Yeah, you at least force your opponent to ditch a card.
Next card is this, I don't know her name, but it's Rize.
Yeah.
When it attacks, you choose one of your other characters and give it 500 times the number of your other characters for the turn. So the Shimakai effect. This is in the deck because of like all the standby and the fact that I'm running this on reverse combo at level 1, doesn't get super big. So I wanted to make sure I had a way to pump if I needed to. And also going into like level 2 and stuff, if I play when I drop down my early play and stuff, like it doesn't get very big either. So being able to, throw some extra power into that to get over a wall at any point in the game definitely seemed like something the deck was lacking. And I felt very happy with my decision to push this up to 2 copies from 1.
Yeah, seemed like it'd be good into the field with Dow.
And then my last level one's kind of like it fills a similar role to the Rize. This Chino, it gets 3,000 extra power if you have another Coco or Rize on the field, which are the other 2 characters in the deck. So it would sit at 7,500 for 1/1, which is like really good actually. It seems like really overstated. Like that's not even a condition for this deck. It's just like if you're playing the game, it's a 1/1/7/5, so it's overstated. And then on attack, it gets 500 additional power times the number of other characters. So it can actually swing for 9,500 and actually holds board really well.
Just like a better Slayer, like a evolution of the costless Slayers that like swing in for 7. This is just swing in for 9/5.
It was kind of just the biggest level, like the biggest amount of power I could hit to at level 1 if I just needed to get over something. And I just really needed more blue fix, and this was
Easy
the best
splash
blue card I had for level 1. So yeah, like if the Shimakais were blue, I probably wouldn't be running this, but it feels good as a 1-of because this deck has a lot of ways to search, so I can get it when I need it. Moving on to level 2s, I didn't want to be spending a lot of stock on early plays and stuff because I'd rather just kind of like tread water during the mid game and build up my stock for the biggest combo I can get at the end. While my opponent's investing a bunch of resources in their field, like a bunch of stock to set up early plays and shit, I'd rather just pay 1, swing into it, and trade with you. Kind of like with my level 1s with the Suiciders and stuff. This card is also in there as good blue fix. This is the one card in the deck that is not Rabbit House. It has some stupid bullshit trait.
Book, I think, something.
It's like something that like I actually really don't have super good access to it. Like the only times I'm really able to get it into my hand is off of like when I trigger a gate. But I mean, in the games where I know my opponent's going for early plays, I just try to like hold it.
Like has good synergy with what you're trying to do. Unfortunately, off trait, but I mean, like there are no. We looked for other options. There was then the other option was also off trait. So
that was even like the reason I chose this one over the Mocha Two Soul is just I needed the extra blue fix to make my level 1 consistent.
I mean, like 2 is more
that was
than
a good
enough
place
to get 1.
a good place I could fit blue in, and I wouldn't have to be confused about like which cards can grab the Mocha and which can't. That was like another thing too. I wasn't super familiar with the show. I have some counters also in the deck, like the couple cards I'm going to mention next, but they really didn't do anything over the course of the day. They were like not useful at all. I'm playing such like an aggressive, like just trade, focused game plan, and then kill you. I'm not really trying to hold board, so the backups just kind of felt out of place and unnecessary. So I think turning them into some other like level 2 early play killer would be nice. Like just 2 more copies of this, maybe I would have really liked. But yeah, talking about the counters, this military looking Rize is it's a Leafa counter.
Yep.
And the Chino one is a free fresh. So pay 2 additional stock and refresh your deck.
I feel like the Leafa counter is like definitely the one that probably didn't help you much at all. Like the free fresh is at least like a panic button. Like if you don't kill your opponent, I guess. But
See, the only reason I ran the blue one instead of like another like Leafa counter or like some other level 2 counter was because it was blue. I just wanted it for the blue fix. I actually really don't like the free fresh effect at all in this deck because I'm trying to build up so much stock for my finisher. Like,
yeah, I guess pay 3 is way too much.
3 is a lot to pay. I feel like the Leafa counter can like dig you for a cancel for only 1 stock.
Yeah.
So, but it was definitely like a panic button. There was a couple games where like I kind of took it off of a salvage as insurance
Yeah.
if I needed a free fresh. But that at that point of the day, that was like I think that was day 2 actually. I was playing against Hadsu, and he knew I had it, so he didn't front me. So I didn't even get to use it. But yeah, I'd rather just turn the counters into more like aggressive ways to kill early plays, like just more bottom decker bombs probably. Moving into level 3s, there is this early play Rize. I really didn't feel like there were too many good early play effects to choose from, at least out of the cards I own for GochiUsa. So this was the one with the least conditions on it. A lot of the other ones required like very specific board states where I needed to have the brainstormer and the level assist, which pushes me into like a trying to win board style deck, which wasn't really what I was going for. I just wanted to really focus on the finishing combo as much as possible. Because I think Cocochino is super broken. And like the couple other ones dealt with weird traits and stuff, like having certain traded stuff in certain places, and it was just I wasn't going to be able to fulfill those conditions. I just wanted to be able to have access to a 2-soul beater to throw down at level 2 if I needed to. And it's nice that it cantrips too. Looking at top 3 is one of my favorite things to do on a level 3. So helps me draw into my gate climax for the finisher, or just replaces itself in my hand.
Anything that helps you keep up hand when you're like going under more often than not.
Yeah, because your opponent's like wearing you down on board most of the time. So getting like a nice plus on play is really handy. The last effect I never used it. It really
it's not very good.
Not very useful, especially since I'm conceding board for most of the game. There's like
it's only useful if like you have to pay out a CX and your opponent has like garbage in center. So like you like win a lane, keep your 2-soul beater, pay something out. But like super limited use.
Yeah, to be honest, like I think I'd want to cut a number of these. I'm gonna have to do a little more research in this set, see what other early play options I have access to with GochiUsa. But this was only there just because it's 2 souls and it was the easiest thing for me to play, and it helps keep up my hand. But 4 copies definitely felt like a bit much.
Yeah, you might be able to run some like extra stock healers or something when we talk about that card, just to like shore you up, I guess, in the late game a little bit if you have to like wait a turn or something.
I think that's the next card.
Yep.
Yeah, the stock healer. This I think this is Mocha actually.
Yeah, Mocha.
So it's off trait for a couple things, but I don't think this is a Rabbit House character either.
Nope.
But
Red DMS.
That's all right. Like I only really get it as like if I'm gonna be like a stock too short to go for like the next number up of finishers, right? So if I'm like 1 stock short of a triple finisher, I can go for this instead in one of the lanes because it's stock cheaper, so it refunds me. Gonna be honest, I really don't care for this card in the deck either because I just kind of want to hit level 3 and slam 3 Cocochinos. I really don't want to be wasting time healing. I just want to win the game.
Yeah, it's only really good.
That might just be my style with the deck. I feel that if you want to run a more conservative top end, you definitely beef up on these a bit more. And I feel like you were definitely helping me deck build going into the tournament, Carmen, and you were telling me like healing's really important in this meta. So I wanted to make sure to at least have 1 healer in there, so I don't run into like a catastrophic situation where
stock healing specifically because of Grisaya anti-heal is at a premium, and it's good in those games where like you're stabilized but you're level 3 and your opponent's level 2, and even with Cocochino you can't reach that turn, so like you like slam down 1 or 2 of these depending on how many you decide to run, and you like kind of wait it out, and if your opponent like has something ridiculous happen where like they cancel on 1 and then their deck is then open or whatever, you could get them with the burn with the second effect. Because you run enough Cocos and Mochas, like you run enough Cocos in the deck to like get a burn two or burn three off this.
Yeah, I feel like the second effect's really deceptive on this.
Yeah, it's
In
definitely
this
not
deck
as good in
specifically.
this deck. It's a lot better in DMS, but it's not as good here.
Yeah, like it's definitely a super good off finisher if you're looking for an off finisher. But I think the Cocochina build just it goes so heavy on its, primary game plan. Like failure is not an option. Like I'm not planning on, oh, well, maybe I didn't get there for my level 3 play. It's like I'm going to get there. I'm
Yeah,
going to be building up to it. I'm going to get 2 or 3 of them or how many I need in my hand and I'm going to draw the gate climax.
yeah,
Failure is not an option. So I'm never really using the effect on it. I just wanted access to like a quote unquote, one stock healer.
yeah.
And even though I'm not a huge fan of this card in the deck, I think I'm going to keep it in there going forward. I think one of's a good number for it,
It's
just to
just
have as
so
two
off
options.
trait. Like you can really only grab it off door too. Another one of those cards. It running additional copies would just be like I want to see one more often. Like you would never be fielding multiple. It'd just
Yeah,
be
like
insurance.
like the ideal finisher board is just as many Cocochinos as I can go for, and I don't really
Speaking
want to
of,
muddy that up with a bunch of tech cards. Talking about the star of the deck, Cocochino. This is actually on a choice restriction list. So playing the deck, I had to choose between running this card and the 1/0 sack counter that GochiUsa has access to, which is definitely a really, really good card. But
yeah, they're both
again,
equally broken in different ways. I think they're both really stupid.
just especially going into like a field that I'm not as well familiarized with, also considering like in a webcam tournament, I think this definitely is a very good combo to be playing. And it just kind of lets me play my own game plan and just ignore my opponent if I want to. I just like all the consistency tools built into it, really. If I'm building up to this combo where failure is not an option, right? It's nice to be able to draw 2, ditch 1 for each copy I play. It's nice to have the pants climax to get the gate climax to my hand. And like, no matter what wall you put in front of me, which, standby decks are super popular right
Swinging
now.
for 18K.
It's like, yeah, like I'm not really trying to win board with this deck, but if it gets to a point where I hit level 3 first and I need,
You got
if
to
I
kill
don't kill
something.
you, I can still kind of like set you back by killing your board. This will absolutely kill whatever's in front of it. Like 500 for each other character puts it to 11, 12 with the climax, 18 with the effect. So that's absolutely massive. And then if
Yeah.
you really need it, you have the extra 500 from the runner you can give it. That
Yeah.
extra 500.
If you really need that 18.5.
Yeah, but I'm just a massive fan of this card. I definitely thought to myself, well, if I run into a 3/0 Memory Snow or um, what's the other one, Kimono Friends that has like anti-ping, I'm just
mhm.
gonna lose these games.
Yeah, thankfully those aren't like too popular in JP at all. The only popular anti-burn is Charlotte, and I don't think you saw that on the
Mhm.
day.
Like the way the meta shaped up, it's very focused on. It seems to me very focused on like winning board and standbying and healing. It's not so much focused on preventing damage. A lot of the aggressive decks seem like they're kind of kept out by the oppressive standby strategies. So I figured I probably wouldn't have to worry too much about like Kimono Friends. Like people probably wouldn't be expecting a aggro combo deck. So I think I
hmm
definitely made a good call for the day. And if I had to go back and pick what deck to play again, I would definitely pick GochiUsa again.
Yeah, it did
Um,
really well for you.
mhm. I'm just a big fan of the deck and really enjoy playing it. So every chance I get to play it and not be playing at locals where maybe Zach's pulling out Kimono Friends this week,
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of cool just to walk into like a different shop or like a different
A
pool of
different
hands.
environment and be able to play something that doesn't really care about what you're playing against, right? You just get to have fun. Because
Hmm.
people aren't being like, oh, I gotta build for if someone in my locals plays Cocochino or something, you know?
Yeah. Like I know a bunch of people have probably been getting triggered through this video, just thinking like, "Oh my god, he keeps using the forbidden terms like aggro and tempo and
Yeah.
control and shit." Like I listened to one of the Burn One podcasts the other day where you guys were talking about that, and this definitely feels like
an
You're trying to come
aggro
up with
deck.
good examples of like, what decks fall into this or that category. This definitely feels like a combo deck. You kind of just build up to your end game, count how many stock you have, manage your resources. And I know I'm going to be losing board all game, and it's just like, I
You're
don't need to
biding
win
your
board.
time.
If I have 0 cards in my hand and I'm at 3-6 when I kill you, that's fine. The whole point's for you to lose, not for me to be in a winning spot, right?
True.
It's Weiss. You can just shove your back row up and attack with it. So it definitely
Eight
is a very
plussing
combo-y
triggers
feeling
helps.
deck.
Looking at the whole deck here, the 8 plussing triggers really helps. I think when you're trying to move faster through the mid game. So like, and I think we talked about it kind of on that podcast where it's like you can kind of divide decks into like two different, like the early / mid game and the end game. And like in the early game, you're definitely aggro, and at the end game, you're like a combo. And the 8 plussing triggers really helps you keep up the early game, while like also helping you get into your door for your finisher. Like kind of has a dual purpose there.
Yeah, it feels. I don't know. I've been calling it aggro a lot, but you're just attacking a lot early. It's not like I'm really trying to win board or like have a
Every
strong
Weiss deck's
early
attacks,
game.
yeah. That's like
It's more that I just want to prioritize building up the stock. So like, there's definitely times where I would just try field, knowing that I'm going to lose field early on, because I'm trying to build up this surplus of stock at the beginning, just so I can kind of like build up a bunch of stock very quickly, then kind of maintain through the mid game, and then I don't give a fuck what the board state is. I'm just gonna play 2, hopefully 3 Cocochinos and kill you out of nowhere, and then hopefully you can go grumble back to your pot of players and say, "Oh, my opponent sacked me, grumble, grumble, grumble,"
yeah.
And I'll be like, "My deck did exactly what I intended it to. I'm a genius."
Well, and the good thing about Cocochino is, like, no matter how heavy the compression environment, burn one is just way too disgusting. Just in general on attack, like the numbers are really, really good. No matter. I just
like
what.
that it's on attack too. Like I played a lot of Mikasa with Attack on Titan too, and it's just nice not having to get the reverse. It's just, I have 2 chances to ping the climax off top and get that sweet confirmation bias, and you for a big chunk of damage after you cancel the ping. And there's not really a whole lot you can do to interact with it other than just, play Kimono Friends or Memory Snow.
And like, especially because you're losing board all game, it really, I think it gives you weirdly better options going into your kill turn. Because what if your opponent just has a level 1 on board, or a level 2 on board, going into your Cocochino turn? Because, like, worst case, right, Cocochino deals 6 damage. I think your chances to deal 6 damage are like absurdly high, like at least 6. So if you can set up a side for 1 or 2, it's just really gross.
I always feel really BM doing that, because I feel like I'm sitting here like calculating the most effective kill line, and they're probably thinking they're sitting like,
oh my god, okay, I put a level 1 on
I'm
board.
I'm like so fucking dead here. Just attack me already. And I'm like trying to set up side attacks for 1 and everything.
Oh no, I mean that's what you gotta do.
Definitely nice when you can do it.
Don't as like a general note, because like we're kind of also going over like Andy's run and stuff like that. Don't ever sit there and feel bad about like crunching the numbers on the kill turn, because I'm sure we have all done it and we've all seen it. How many games?
Me, Carmen, when I said I feel kind of bad, I feel like.
Yeah,
I don't really feel that bad.
Exactly.
I've played enough. I played enough card games to know that. Yeah, okay, I'm going for my big combo turn. You can sit there and fucking wait.
Yeah,
you'll be dead soon enough. Just hold on.
Thinking through your math and everything is important in this game.
It's super important.
You can just whiff it. You can just screw it up, and then you're just like, well, now I died of vanilla swings. Very cool, because I didn't take 2 minutes to do my battle math. Yeah, I think that like the fact that you are crashing out, if your opponent like misplays or only has level 1s or level 2s to put down to shove to the front row and attack or something, if they're like trying to sandbag, they just give Cocochino being able to side. It just creates really disgusting scenarios because it doesn't have to get a reverse. So if you do side a level 1 or level 2, like burn 1, side for 1, side for 2, like what? Even Psychono will have trouble canceling that, like unless they're like in absurd compression levels. Like it's just really, really good.
Yes, especially for like an aggressive like Bernie finisher. With so many people opting to play like these memory decks nowadays, like Psychono, Grisaya, stuff that just builds up a million memory, Slime. It's like, even if you're really well compressed, one's the best amount of damage I can deal to you. So
And again, like, I mean, expected numbers. Like, I think you're like practically guaranteed with triple Cocochino. I think you're practically guaranteed to burn for at least 5. Like, almost guaranteed to hit stick 6. Like over the course of the turn. You know?
if you get triple Cocochino,
your opponent should die.
That's the game. Like,
your opponent should die from
3-0.
Like 3-0, 2-6, you should die. But yeah, here's the whole list laid out. Very directed, very clean. Think Andy we went over like things you would change. More bombs.
Yeah, there's definitely some changes I would want to make to the deck. I definitely think that I definitely will play this deck at tournaments again going forward. I think it's a really good tournament pick. And the deck still feels really strong. Like, I didn't play back when the deck was like in its prime or anything, but I can definitely see why it caused so much havoc back in the day. It's like the Cocochino finisher is just absurdly good. And now that I've kind of like jammed a lot of games with it and really did a lot of play testing with it, I kind of have like an idea for what I want to fix. I think I kind of just want to like focus less on level 3s and early plays and just kind of pump more of that into like
going down to like
2-1 killers, or like find like a better blue fix somewhere. So I can like beef up a few of the other cards. Like, I really want to be able to run more of the Rize that pops to stock for level 0, so I can like have any sort of stock plus I can get, but I needed to have blue fix, so I couldn't have too many of those.
Like down to like maybe like 2 Rize early play or something. You cut one of the counters, you go up to another 2-1 bomb. You like run an extra Rize or something like that. Maybe like possibly another stock healer just for insurance if you're like not playing the Rize early play or something like that. Just like very small tweaks, really. I think the core is very good for the current meta. The extra bombs are good for like at least force, like we said, standby decks, forcing them to exchange a card, especially if you're going under. Maybe even another Shimakai. Depends. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure there's better blue fix, but I mean, I only had, this is pretty much every blue card I own from the set, so there's like some shitty level 1 I had, but whatever. It was enough blue to do the job I needed it to do. So
yeah, especially in those matchups where you're not gonna hit combo. Doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, we could probably talk more about that if we go into a more like in-depth tournament report. If that's something you guys are interested in, leave us a comment, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
We might be throwing that together. I can talk about my rounds more in depth then. And Carmen also made it pretty far in the tournament. And
yeah, I got bubbled out of top 8. Feels bad because my round 1 didn't show up.
you and me were both sitting there at the end.
Yeah, we were like tallying the numbers at the end there. But Andy made a hell of a run, especially with this deck, like a rogue deck. Really cool to see. You were like the only Gochi in the tournament, I think.
There was like one other. There was one other person playing it. I think I looked at their list and it was the Dear My Sister build.
The Dear My Sister build, yeah. But I mean,
I
like
was
that's
really
such
excited.
a different
I was like,
deck.
oh sweet, another GochiUsa. I wonder, if they'll have some cool tech for my Cocochino deck. And then
Yeah.
they were just running the other deck. I was like,
yeah, the other deck's a lot more popular right now. Like, and I think that like you can say that you were the only you were the only Rabbit House deck.
yeah, I guess I was the only Rabbit House player.
It's a completely different deck, so very cool to see. But yeah, to wrap up.
Well, congrats to you too, buddy. Even though you're playing fucking Psychono, like
it's just
like an asshole. But
that's true. It is my.
Anyway.
It's like my favorite good deck. But yeah, Andy had the true good run. But yeah, to wrap up here, all the links we normally have. We sort of went in depth on this because we wanted to sort of get Andy's thoughts on his deck and everything, get that stuff out there to you guys. We're still on our new schedule, so rush rundowns every Wednesday, deck techs every other Wednesday. That's why this wasn't out last week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Andy, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right.
Thanks to everyone who played in the event, and I'm glad we got so many people for it, and I'm really looking forward to the next one.
Hell yeah, me as well. All right, Pittsburgh White Shorts signing off. We'll see you guys in the next one.